Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for supporting the Wide Angle Podium Network. Your support means so much to us here over at the Consummate Athlete Podcast. I'm Molly Harford, and today our guest is one of my favorite people in the world, Matt Fitzgerald. He's the author of Iron War, Eating for Endurance, Racing Weight, and tons of other great books. And today he's just talking about a couple of his favorite nutritional tips and tricks that he wishes every athlete would follow. So don't miss it. Enjoy this bonus content, and thanks again for your support. Since the endurance diet came out, what do you think has been, of all the rules in it, which one do you think was the easiest rule for people to get on board with, and which was the hardest?
I would say the easiest would be the eat high quality. Mm-hmm. The concept is a little bit novel because so much attention is on macronutrients in popular discussions about diet. Are carbs good or bad? And this whole concept of quality is really overlooked. So when people are first introduced to that concept, it throws them for a bit of a loop, but it's not that hard to kind of wrap your head around it. And I think it was brilliant on my part to come up with a
score. Say so yourself.
Exactly. To come up with a scoring system, because then it's like, gamification, it's like I try to raise my score. And so I find that people pretty quickly get on board with that. It can require, there's some inertia in terms of like having the willpower to make the choices, but that's kind of so it's hard in that sense, I guess, for some people more than others. One that is maybe the most challenging generally, or the one that more people struggle with than any other, would be eating enough. The idea of kind of threading the needle in terms of how much food you take in, and eating neither too little nor too much. All of these rules are based on just the habits, the most prevalent habits of the world's best endurance athletes all over the world. And the way they do it, because quality isn't everything. Quantity also matters. Like eating the right amount does matter. But what I found with elite athletes is that the ones who do it right, which is pretty much all of them, that's why they're elite or why they're able to stay on top, is they don't count calories. They do it by kind of just being mindful, just being actually in touch with their body's needs, which we're all capable of doing. We're born able to do that. We're just kind of socialized to stop doing it, to override those signals and eat too much. Or a lot of athletes or health conscious people will get in the habit of eating too little.
Well, and then or both, right? Like they'll try and
fast,
or call it intermittent fasting, or just not eat, all day because they're trying to lose weight, and then they'll come home and dinner will end up being way, way too much.
Yeah. So I struggle to help. Sometimes when an athlete comes to me and they say, I read that chapter, I get it, but I can't do it. It's like it doesn't work for me. Like maybe it works for other people, but I'm just so far out of touch with my body. I have to count calories or what have you. And I honestly struggle to know what to do with people in that situation, because counting calories is an inexact science. It does have the benefit of at least sort of getting you to pay attention. But in my experience, the ones who do it, it comes from unhealthy psychology, and it only reinforces it. It's like weighing yourself obsessively. So, it's like, I don't know what to do with people who my body signals, I can't read them. But when I start counting calories, I obsess about it and starve myself. And it's like, oh goodness.
Yeah, it gets very complex for sure.
Yeah.
I've had some luck with people, they're maybe snackers, so they'll have like a muffin for breakfast, and then they'll have I don't know what they have for, maybe the muffin's lunch and coffee with like cream as breakfast, and then dinner is just everything.
Right.
Just trying to encourage, when you eat, it's a meal. which takes different forms depending on their schedule, but trying to, because those are the people, right? Like they don't eat all day essentially,
right?
And they're not really eating as far as your nutrient qualities or your quality of diet is very low.
Yeah. One thing I do find useful, not just with the eating enough business, but with really making any of these changes is, I call them habits for a reason, and that's what they are. And so the overall process is one of changing habits or improving habits, adopting new habits, whatever, getting habits to stick. So, to me, there's nothing wrong with like really simplifying things and just, start in a place where if you're struggling with any of these changes, like eat the same damn thing every day, like eat the same breakfast, the same lunch, the same dinner, because that's why I have this concept of what I call the perfect day in there. It's like it's a starting point where at least this works, right? Like we can all do that much, no matter how overwhelmed you are. You can find, just a set of habits that are kind of concretized in one perfect day of eating that just it works for you. So if it's getting back to the person who struggles to eat either not too little or not too much, if you can find a consistent daily eating schedule where you're getting the results, like you feel good in your workouts but you're also getting leaner, well that's the right amount of food, so just keep eating that, and then you can sort of variety, there's something to be said for it, and certainly you can branch out from there. But I think it's pretty liberating for people who are struggling with any of these changes to think in terms of like, forget about the rest of your life. Just find one perfect day of eating that works for you, and then that's your foundation. Go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice for sure. And I mean, it's once you get comfortable and put in some time there, you can swap your chicken breast for steak or whatever, right? And just sort of
exactly
sidestep just slightly without getting overwhelmed,
right.
And then that's where maybe the variety and the long-term success comes from. But I love that sort of day focus.
Yeah, I really like that perfect day exercise, mainly because I'm a journaling nutcase, so I really enjoy any activities like that. But I thought it was fun. It was really hard for me to do that, though, and not put, and then there's ice cream in there, even though I knew that was not entirely the point.
Yeah, well, I've got beer in my perfect day.
Yeah, I already had wine in mine, so I was like, I could go down a rabbit hole here. Then there's a Reese's peanut butter cup. I'm terrible. It's a struggle for me to keep my diet in that 80-20 or 90-10 calculation, I guess, but working on it. And then, you've written Diet Cults and obviously have been kind of, talking a lot about just, reasonable, eat like a normal human kind of no nonsense stuff. Is there any nutritional fad that you really just wish would die already?
Yeah, well, high fat, low carb doesn't, it's really caught on, and its supporters are pretty strident. Some of them.
Yeah.
So that one is a constant thorn in my side. One, I've talked ad nauseum about that one. One that's like a little more, newly ascendant is the intermittent fasting thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh great, another way to make things unnecessarily complicated. It's
Yep.
like, where are people going to get enough of this?
Yeah, we had Stacey Sims on a while ago, and her take on intermittent fasting was just like, I mean, really, it shouldn't be that hard to go, from 8 p.m. till 7 a.m. or whatever without you just don't have ice cream at 10 p.m. and you can call it intermittent fasting, but it's really just eating like a human should eat.
It's called, others call it sleeping.
Yeah, exactly. We used to call it that, but now we have to put some kind of fancy label on it, so it seems like a diet strategy. Exactly. And then if there were 2 rules that you could get people to start following, I mean, I know obviously they should read the Endurance Diet where there's all of the habits, but if there were just 2 simple rules that you could get people to follow, what would those first 2 be?
You mean diet rules that are different from the habits?
No, they can be the habits. Just
okay.
I mean, I know it's like choosing your 2 favorite children or two favorite dogs or whatever, but
yeah, well, I mean, definitely the quality thing is number one. I think I say it in the book, you know, if you can cover that one base, just consistently, you know, maintaining a diet that is based on high quality foods with, you know, a few treats around the fringes, you're 80% of the way there to get back to 80-20. Haha, clever. You know, it's like you've done most of the work. Like that's, you know, if you could only take one habit to the proverbial desert island with you, like that would be the one. Like that should be, you know, if you're doing everything wrong, that's the first thing you want to start doing right. From there, I think it is a little bit more individual, honestly. Like, what do you tend to struggle with more should determine what comes next, I would say. Mm-hmm. Probably, you know, just in general terms, the next most important thing is eating the right amount. Actually, it's as important. But the reason I would put eating enough second to eating high quality is that even eating high quality helps you eat the right amount, because, you know, low quality processed foods are a lot less satiating. So it's a lot easier. It's a lot harder to overeat if you're eating almost all high quality unprocessed foods. So that's where it really takes you most of the way there, just to take care of that one. But in affluent societies like ours, most of us overeat, and the temptations to overeat are ubiquitous. So I guess that would be my second one for most people.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to point out that I love, in all of this conversation, none of it has come around to like what to eat on the bike or what to eat on the run or what to eat on race day and stuff. It's all about what to eat around those. And I think that's what gets so often missed in sports nutrition in general.
Yeah.
I'm so happy every time we talk, that's what we talk about.
Yeah, I mean, if you were just going to play an association game and I said sports nutrition and you're supposed to say the first thing that comes to mind, you're going to say something like Power Bar or Cytomax. It's like, no, it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner first.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, that's how I start pretty much every training and nutrition talk. It's just, it doesn't matter what you ate, you know, the morning of the race. It matters what you've eaten for the last 6 months if you want to do really well.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Where can everyone find you? Where can everyone get all of your books? Pimp yourself out.
Yeah. So my personal website is mattfitzgerald.org. And then I referenced earlier my 80-20 endurance website, which has a ton of resources related to that whole concept for runners and triathletes, and that's 8020endurance.com.
Awesome. And then you're Matt Fitwriter on Twitter too.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, as always, Matt, it was a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat, and I'm very excited about this new book.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt.
Anytime. All right, take care. Talk to you soon.
All right, bye now.
All right, bye.